The Soybean School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by Pride Seeds, Cruiser Max Vibrance Beans, and High Stick NT. Soybeans. The oil complex is a complicated one to figure out. Soybeans is really kind of held for a while, and everyone was saying they shouldn't be there and all this kind of stuff. How do you feel right now with the soybean market?
Well, the soybean market's a later crop, but I think it's also been delayed. The market's been thinking we've added about 1 to 2 million acres from corn, but just shortly after the June USDA WASDE report, the USDA came out with further comments that said historically, the U.S. farmer, if they can't plant corn, and Iowa was having the most difficult state planting corn because they were getting too much rain. They only had maybe 5 days out of 60 days of weather above 80 degrees. It rained for 2 days, stopped raining, and then rain again. It was just a mess, and there's still a big mess down there, particularly with some soybeans. And all the prevent plant dates have come and gone. So what the USDA says, historically, the farmer will take 50% of those corn acres that weren't planted to prevent plant insurance, and the other 50% will go to soybeans. But they're not. They're also unsure this year as to whether they went to beans, because the prevent plant dates came and gone. And so Informa yesterday came out and said that acres would be in that 77.7 or 8 or something like that. It was 680,000 more than the USDA at 77.1. Remember, the market was looking for an additional 1 to 2 million for the June acreage report. I'm not sure now that we even added 1 to 2, and we could subtract. If all of a sudden next Friday in the June USDA acreage report, we're at 76, something lower than the 77.1, again, watch out for the upside. We're going to create some fireworks, because that creates a smaller crop this year, because the beans are late again, and yes, it's a later crop, and we won't determine that yield until August. I still think it's not at 44. I think we're closer to a 43 or lower, and each one of these bushels per acre reduces that crop, and so we have a very tight crop in 2012-13. It could become tight again in 13-14, and we're going to rely on South America next year with a record crop of 139.4 million metric tons. That's if weather doesn't affect them either.
Is there a scenario that plays out to move them to the downside? Or are you more thinking really this is a market moving higher?
It really depends ultimately what corn does. I mean, corn's the king, it's the leader. Sometimes beans will take a lead for a short period of time, but it's too early to tell. I mean, nobody's adjusted these numbers yet. We're going to have to buy a little bit more time. They're looking for more evidence, but old crop remains really tight. Basis has gone wild. We've said that for a while in the United States. The U.S. is going to have to import 250,000 metric tons of beans in the month of August and July. We've upped our target on old crop beans. We think July, it's going to run out of time, but it could test 16. New crop could test 14, because it depends on what the USDA says here in the next week or two, but we are behind. We have lower yields. Potentially acres could come in lower than the June numbers at 77.1.